2022. That year is where I started to become serious about improving digital art. I was starting to learn environments, I was improving my details, and much more. There were a lot of good artworks that I created in that year, especially in the latter half. Well, not all of them, of course. But there were two artworks that stood out to me at that time. One of these earlier in the year, and one of these in the middle of the year. And I was proud of them. They felt like masterpieces to me. At that time, of course. But now, seeing that I've improved a lot more, there are some visible flaws that I've seen. And it all started with SamDoesArts. I was watching one of his videos, and its main premise is that he encourages us to look at our old arts and see what flaws they have. For example, maybe in your old art, you realize that wait, this part isn't properly detailed, or hold on, the coloring here isn't bright. This isn't hating on your old work. Well, yes and no. It's to find out what errors that your old works have, to see what you've improved on, and to make sure that you shouldn't make those mistakes again, especially in present time. And in the video, he also encourages us to pick one of our artworks and try and improve those flaws, which is what he did in that video. So, I will be picking one of my artworks and clean up some mistakes that I made last year, 2022 to 2023, to see what's different. A lot has changed since then, and so I was wondering about my artworks after that video. And yes, there are obvious flaws. I wasn't blind to them. I knew that my old arts have flaws, but I wasn't really paying attention to them that much until now. Let's start with one earlier in the year. This alleyway artwork was the first time that I pushed myself to the limits, especially with perspective drawing, which I haven't done a lot since then. I was so proud, except it took me about 2 months to finish it. Bad habits. So in the end, I just willy-nilly added some details because I was burnt out and wanted to finish this out of stress. Like this random tree in the darkness. Why was it there? It looks so out of place. It was just an excuse because I didn't want to draw another building over here. The sky, the steel gratings, the lamp, these distant buildings, they could have been better. A lot better. I didn't just think enough if what I've drawn carelessly could actually look good in my artwork. Well, it doesn't. The lighting could have been improved too. There's no proper shadows on these as well. Like, how did I think this was good at all? I have honestly no idea what this is. This is the most random air conditioner I've ever seen. Feels like I'm nitpicking, but you genuinely see these mistakes and be like, are you sure this is good? Like, are you really sure that this is what you call good? Just realize that, yeah, I need to improve better next time and not make these stupid artworks. So in the end, what I thought was a masterpiece is just mainly a very uninteresting alleyway art. It's good, but it has a lot more potential. Here's another artwork, this time a forest art. The main thing to criticize here is that this is very busy and overwhelming. And this poor woodpecker isn't even that obvious. The busyness of these trees and the lack of separation between the trees and the woodpecker, it doesn't really make it stand out that much. Also, this looks very rough. I could have made a better tree with less time using custom brushes, which I didn't know existed in Medibang at that time. And yes, I use Medibang. Got a problem with that? These are things you need to note so that once you're trying to do something similar to this again, you won't make the same mistake last time. And this shows that you're actually improving. You're noticing some slight oddities in your old artworks. And your crafts right now might be slightly frowned upon by your future self. But that's fine. They might have seen some mistakes that you haven't seen last time. They've probably have seen some things. Things like this. So, now that we've seen these mistakes, let's try and improve them. Fix them perhaps. Let's remake one of my artworks to see how much I've improved within a year. let's remake this alleyway artwork. Alright, time for the artwork. I won't change much, just try and refine some parts. The sky in background has to go though. The sky looks very uninteresting. It's just an orange gradient with some lazily put clouds. But before I continue, I'll be honest. I don't think I'll be doing that well with perspective here. But I'll try my best to adapt to it and make this artwork a lot better than last time. And also, take my process and understanding of how things work with a grain of salt. So after getting rid of the sky, I started coloring a new sky with a much more appealing color transition. Next, I started to detail the steel grating. Now before the remake, I didn't add some separation to the rest of the steel gratings because I didn't think that this was an important part to detail. But it really feels off, seeing that this has separation and this doesn't. I also added some shadows and contact shadows here because there's no separation. Some parts even blend in with the walls. Next thing I did was to darken these parts that are facing to us. Some parts look like the two faces blend with each other. There's almost no sunlight here, and these would be the last parts to get even a little bit of illumination. And I also darkened this wall, since it's the furthest point from the opening of this alleyway. So this part only gets little sunlight. Now, I have to do this. Yes, I added another building. I can't stand that random tree. But I kept it like this for now, because now I have to deal with this lamp. Now, I tried to think of a design for this building, and instead I just left it plain, like the other buildings, but with some detail. I was trying to make a brick building, but I realized that might stand out a little bit too much. And speaking of the building, some windows. Don't forget them windows. And finally, let's finish it with some final touches. Now the last thing I have to do is to deal with the buildings in the distance. These more American townhouses in the distance don't match with the more European style townhouses up front. So I got rid of them and replaced them with European ones. I think that's all I want to see change so far. It's hard, because I actually have to fix my mistakes and try to adapt to this perspective, which I think I did really well. But this genuinely shows my lack of competence in making clouds. I had to make cirrus clouds, not some Chad cumulus clouds. But in the end, this shows how much I've improved. I'm proud of it, but I won't let my guard down. Now that's a big difference. It was nice to see how I would change my artwork for the better, and this is obviously many times more improved than last time. It's nice to revisit these old arts to see how I've done things back then and what I could have done differently. I thank SamDoesArts for the inspiration to make this video, to see what I've improved, and I hope you're going to try and do this as well, to see how well things are now. It's honestly a lot better to watch his video afterwards, but as for me, I'll be continuing my art journey, improving my art skills as well. But as for you, go and do what you were meant to be doing.